Good morning, Gateway Rotary.
Morning.
Good
Morning, President Mike. President Mike.
morning. So today, before our flag salute, I just want to take a moment, bow our heads, and recognize the 23rd anniversary of the attack on our nation. So. Thank you very much. And leading us in our flag salute today is Sylvia Davenport.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning, Gateway.
Morning.
Please join me in saluting our flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Who's got me dancing? No singing, but we're dancing.
You are singing.
Hey, that's called rapping. Okay, with kids today.
I didn't know you danced worse than you sang.
I certainly did. Ask Kathy about that.
It actually was very nice to characterize that as singing.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. Okay.
Please, let's move on.
And leading us today in our four-way test, Assistant Governor for District 530, David Brooks. One of our guests today. David is going to be making an announcement soon, but four-way test.
Fellow Rotarians, please join me in the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
Is it
The truth.
second,
Is it
Fair to all concerned.
third,
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
and fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And fifth,
Five.
is it fun?
And six.
Dang right, it's fun. We dance, we don't sing.
Mike.
For all concerned.
Yes.
All right, catching up on the old cards here.
Okay, visiting guest today, I did see, I saw Janine Menger. Oh,
So perfect, yes.
and Janine has a guest.
I do. This is my husband.
Yeah. Good morning.
Welcome, Mike.
And my wife Kathy. Okay. Two guests, as I mentioned, David Brooks here from Capital Centennial and Tracy Deerfield. I think I got that right, okay? All right, and I think that is it. Oh, of course, our guest speaker. We'll introduce her in a minute. Just a couple of quick announcements. We do have 3 prospective members. And Janine, just so you know the process, we've been approved by the board. Next step is having one of our past presidents meet with you and then putting you out to the membership. So it's a few week process, but excited to have you here again today. Service project for September 27th. I'm going to send this back around again. We have about, I think, 5 names on there. If I pass that around. If you're available, it's a Friday morning, 8:30 to 12:30. Still waiting on additional details, but it sounds like we'll be working with Habitat, or not Habitat, but the Rebuilding. Thurston with Kathy's team there, and probably painting a house. But still waiting on details from United Way. Sylvia, do you want to talk about October 23rd, or anything you need to say on that?
Good morning, Gateway.
Morning, Sylvia.
It's always a great day at Gateway. So I brought you guys flyers. We'll have lots of lasagna, salad, bread, beer, wine, games. And Jerry, you don't have to do anything. You just show up.
Oh, boy. And radiate.
And radiate, yes.
2 signature cocktails.
And 2 signature cocktails. This is gonna be a fun event.
1, all gin.
Thank you, Sylvia. All right, let's see. November 14th, mark your calendar. So November 13th is our normal meeting day. We will not meet on November 13th because the following day will be the joint district club meeting at St. Martin's, 12 o'clock. More information to come on that. That's where our district governor, Bill McGregor, will make his pitch presentation to our club. So excited for that. If I haven't mentioned it yet, I'm still in search of a membership and service committee lead. And then I want to give a shout out to Mike Bell. Mike has done a ton of work. I mean, like hours and hours and hours trying to get QuickBooks commanded. And we had a club meeting, or not club meeting, but a committee meeting for the golf debrief last week, Thursday. Thank you, Doug Mobb, who donated his auction winning out at Top Run. Fun time, got a lot of information out of it. We will be putting together just a quick recap, but Mike wants to make sure he's got the numbers solid before we do that. So just again, shout out to Mike for doing that. And
Yay, Mike!
And then,
We're trying to go today.
if you haven't had enough entertainment from me up here today, I'm going to bring up David Brooks again and Tracy Deerfield from Capital Centennial Club, and they are going to take this 5-minute presentation that Jerry saw yesterday, and really whittle it down to about 3.
Right, he's cheering my ability to knock it down in 3 minutes. So, anyway, here I am, and here he is in the back. You gotta take a good look at David, you won't recognize him.
What?
Oh my gosh.
What's with the mask?
I'm headed out to the Blanco Festiva masquerade party, and I think it looks pretty cool.
And David,
But why don't you tell us about when and where it is?
it's gonna be at the ABC room in the
Can
community
you hold up the
center.
microphone to your mouth, please?
ABC room in the community center, near the senior center on Columbia, downtown Olympia. It'll be on October 19th, between the hours of 6 and 9 p.m. And we're gonna have a little more fun than you think.
Is that correct?
So instead of it just being a rubber chicken dinner, because, David's checking his
Hey,
phone.
is it just gonna be another rubber chicken dinner? What is this?
See, we really reversed it, didn't we?
Hey, tell us what your idea of fun is.
It's going to be
buddy.
Colombian food, arepas, empanadas, but we also have poetry. Argentine tango dancing will be on exhibit.
Hey, Mike. These are all.
He's just needing another minute with that. But then we're also going to have a fashion show. Our club represents 9 different countries. Anything from Iran to the Philippines. I could go through the list, but I don't have enough time. So,
Well, you're gonna raise a lot of money.
yes, we are.
Tell my friends here, how do you plan on spending that?
Well, what we're doing with the money is funds our international projects. Last year, we both had manufactured and stuffed 650 backpacks near Manila, Philippines. And in doing that, we served an elementary school that really is not well funded. These kids, this is all they have for school supplies. But we actually go on our own dime to the project site, and then all of the money is spent at the local project site internationally. So you can imagine the economic impact, not just the impact on the lives of the kids, but the economy as well. And it is matched by district, so we are going through the community grant system to make sure that we maximize your dollars, so it's leverage.
It sounds good. How do I sign up for it?
Oh, this club is young enough to use QR codes, I found out. So you can use the QR code and get your Eventbrite ticket. It's easy, it's painless. So you're going through the web via the phone and QR, or you can download the app. So it's really easy. I think we're done, aren't we?
Well, I think I'm ready to go.
You are ready to go.
Yeah.
There we are. Hey,
Oh, yeah.
Tom.
What's the attire?
Blanco Festivo. There is a clue as to the attire. You're going to attempt an all-white, or at least mostly white attire. So you can see that I'm only partially dressed. Use your imagination. No. All right, I think we're done.
Yay! Well done!
Tracy, thank you so much. Hey Kathy, do we still have some white spray paint at home? I could take one of my old suit jackets and ties.
That's right.
That might look pretty nice as I tangle my way into the celebration. All right, enough of that. So today I am pleased to announce our guest speaker. I heard Randy. No, it's not. It's Rick. Rick Walk, City Manager, City of Lacey. Rick, before I talk a little bit about your bio, do you realize we used to have 2 City of Lacey employees as members of Gateway Rotary? And how many do we have now?
I think goose eggs.
None. Okay, so anyway, just a little challenge to put out there right now. Let's get City of Lacey back in here. Lacey City Council officially selected Rick Walk as the new city manager during the regular city council meeting on July 6, 2023. The vote was unanimous to appoint Walk as the 5th city manager of Lacey since 1974. Walk served as interim city manager since December 2022. We all remember that guy that was here, that Scott Spence. Yeah. Pretty guy. Prior to his appointment as interim city manager, Walk served as the city's director of community and economic development since 2008. Walk has over 28 years of experience in city and rural county planning, previously having worked at Douglas County in the early 90s before joining the city of Lacey as project planner in 1999. In addition to planning, Walk has extensive experience in organizational administration, economic development, housing initiatives, and intergovernmental collaborations and partnerships. Walk currently serves as the vice chair of the Lacey Makerspace Executive Board. and is past president of the Washington City Planning Directors Association and past president of the Washington South Sound section of the American Planning Association. Walt received his Bachelor of Arts in Urban and Regional Planning from Eastern Washington University.
Go Eagles!
They're part of our Cougar pack now, aren't they? Pack now.
Go Pack 2. Go Pack 2.
Yeah.
And Regional Planning from Eastern Washington University and has an American Institute of Certified Planners certification. Please welcome Rick Walk.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. This is close enough?
Yes.
Ready to do this or anything? Or?
All right, I can probably.
You have that all built in there?
Yeah.
All right. I'm a little slow on the buttons.
I'll take it. Yeah. Oh, you didn't spend so much time dancing and singing.
Yeah. Just wait for my song and dance. Well, thank you for having me this morning. You talked about having Lacey and David Rotary. I look around and this is all about Lacey because I see a lot of connections in the room. I thought today I asked what the topic would you like to hear about, and of course had response that says whatever I want to talk about. So that can be wide open for a former planner, as Jerry might know from years ago. So I thought I'd just kind of do a quick kind of Lacey update of what's been going on the last year, what projects we have going on, where we are with our budgeting, and then how we have started creating more community connections. So, but first I always like to start out with a little bit of context, and I think everybody in this room realizes Lacey has grown significantly over the last 25 years, especially in the last decade. When I came to the city of Lacey in 1999, the population was just over 28,000, and we're now at 60,240. A lot of substantial growth. And just over the last 10 years, wrong slide, this kind of gives a little idea of the makeup of the city of Lacey. We have about 25,000 total units. About 54% of those are owner-occupied, the other 46 renter-occupied. This is one of the things that's really staggering to see over the years. I think everybody can agree is our median home price has kept growing and growing. It's up to over $505,000 for new market rate housing. I think I'm going to go back to 1999, 2000. I think it was about $195,000 back then, around that. I just remember at that point in time it was a big deal to get over $200,000 when Greg Cooley was city manager. And of course, even rental has gone up quite significantly, where an average rent right now in the city is about $1,700 for a 900 square foot unit. One of the things that's also been great over the years is we've grown our business community. We have about just under 1,500 businesses in the city of Lacey, and employing around just under 24,000 employees as well. And then our commercial industrial space is roughly around 15 million, most of that being in the industrial sector. We haven't had a lot of expansion to our retail square footage since about 2008, which I'll touch upon a little bit later in the presentation. So this is that decade of growth. Just over the last 10 years, our population increased by about 15,000 people. We had an additional 4,300 residential units. The new commercial industrial square footage is 9.8 million. Again, majority of that, if not all of it, just in the industrial sector. We annexed another 1,500 acres with a population of about 2,800 people. And trying to keep up with that growth and expansive services, we expanded our employee group by about 88 individuals. But one of the challenges is that rapid growth. We're struggling to keep up with employees' growth as well because of tight revenues that continue to provide that service. And just a little bit of context, that population increase, about 15,000 people. The city of Yelm is currently about 10,800. So if you put that into context, we grew by 1.5 over the last 10 years.
Yum and a half.
That's a new metric for population growth. So currently for 2024, our budget is just under $300 million. And I broke up these 5 funds. Underneath these 5 funds, I think it's about another 27 sub-funds under these categories. But we have about $87 million budget in our general fund. Utility funds, which is our water, sewer, and stormwater, and these are our enterprise funds that have to be kept separate from the rest of the fund structure, about $135 million. And then just this year, we're spending about $68 million in capital projects. And we have just over $1 million in debt service. Our debt service is really low for a city of our size, and that's something too that we're going to be looking at going forward as well.
That was an expense budget we just saw. Right?
Yes, this is the 2024 City of Lacey adopted budget. I don't have an update from the amendments that the council just approved 2 weeks ago, but the amendments take us over that 300 mark by 3 million. So this is kind of a breakdown of our expenses and by department. And so as you see, our largest department by employee group is our public works. They run engineering plus shop operations, park maintenance, street maintenance, all of our wastewater and water systems. Police department, 17.8 million, just trying to keep a tab on that number. And then of course all the way down to our human services and community economic development and arts and culture. So that's our general fund departments. Those are all the various departments and services that we fund out of the general fund of Canada. So in terms of that $17.8 million for police departments, it's under 17 for public works. This is our general fund revenue sources. And this is one of the things that we struggle as local governments is our funding mechanisms, because it's very tight. You don't want to raise property taxes, because that impacts our community. Sales taxes, every time you increase your sales tax, that's there's mixed emotion about sales tax, but the those tax cost of goods. But currently our sales tax structure is our largest revenue source at $17 million. That doesn't even pay for our police department currently, in order to provide public safety. Then of course we have $11 million in service fees. Our property tax revenue is around $8 million, 8.7. Utility tax, 8.5. So you kind of see our general fund revenue sources and how tight that is to what we have for providing services out of our general fund with various departments. And then add a different lens to this. The City of Lacey is the 23rd largest city in the state of Washington, just ahead of Olympia. Tumwater's the 43rd, and Young's the 87th. If you go over to sales tax per capita, we see that Olympia is 38th in revenue by sales tax per capita. Tumwater's 47th, Young's 86th, and the City of Lacey is 103rd. What that really means is our struggle with trying to increase revenue to provide these services is we have a really strong and large population base, but our retail commercial expansion has not occurred as we'd like to hope. I mentioned earlier that our largest retail expansion last was in 2008. That was the construction of the Lowe's down at the Crossroads Centers and Yelm Highway. Since then, we've had smaller commercial spaces come online, but nothing substantial to expand our tax base. And that's something that we're constantly focusing on and trying to figure out what we can do through our economic development strategies to improve that going forward. And part of it is, with the 08 recession, you all recall, retail changed. And the old brick and mortar, the box store type method just disappeared. And we're trying to go back into place maintenance, which I'll come back to in a little bit. So now, after that great news, I want to go into some of our public investment opportunities. So we're still trying to build the community, trying to create those things that create that quality of place to attract new investment, reinvestment in the community. So some of our public investments, one of the key projects we have coming forward this year or next year. Well, first off, we're spending about $68 million in public capital projects, and there's a list of the more significant projects. One of those projects is the College Street extension, and I think everybody's probably aware of, if you go down College Street north through, well, just across the Mark Way, you kind of have to meander through the Livingston neighborhood or find another route. We have the right of way to go straight through and connect to 15th. And we finally are in the final, we have agreement to purchase the last of the right of way we need. And we're getting ready, just found out earlier this week that we're scheduled to go out to bid for construction of College Street extension second week of October. And so that was set up by early December. The council will be able to award bids. It will be set up to hire the contractor to start construction in early 2025. This is significant because I know Graham was on council when we were talking about the College Street extension back in the early 2000s. And it's been a project we've been working on for a lot of years, and we're finally getting that point to create that. And it will also help change that whole traffic flow and the impact on those neighborhoods for cut-through traffic. So we're really excited about this project moving forward. If you've been out to the rack recently, you can see we just finished the new parking lot, the old gravel field or site that was adjacent to the intersection. We just improved that into a new parking lot. And
What's rack?
oh, I'm sorry. The regional athletic complex that the City of Lacey owns out at Marvin and Stillington Road.
Olympian.
She's an Olympian.
That's okay. Well, the regional athletic complex, if you haven't been out there, is a premier sports and large regional park. Tracks a lot of baseball, soccer tournaments, local field plays, and it's a very large recreational complex. And we just expanded the parking out there to include bus parking as well as electric vehicle chargers, sidewalk improvements, and really clean up that site. And that was just finished about 2 months ago. And I know it's heavily appreciated for that overflow parking. Yes?
Yeah, are the electric vehicles chargers live now?
They are not live. We ran into a snag with a vendor that we're going to use for managing the payment system called ChargePoint. Right. So we're working on that license agreement and how they're able to bill us so we can track what they're charging the customers.
I noticed when I drive by there that the big RVs are parking lengthways right in front of all those cars. I hope that ends.
Oh, that's good. We also put in prohibitions in the ordinance for vehicle parking to address those issues. We don't have anti-parking enforcement, but our police officers, when they go out and patrol, you'll notice that and they'll take care of it. Another one I'm really excited to say, and this is thanks to all of you, is we're working on the Bush Park Playground equipment. This is about a $450,000 project, $110,000 provided by the Gateway Rotary. I know this is an example that local government cannot do it by itself. We need partnerships, we need community members and organizations that help us create these type of amenities in our community. And when I last checked with our design team, we're going to start early 2025 with design, with the idea that as we roll into 2025, we'll be able to make those improvements by the mid to end of 2025. So again, I want to thanks to Gateway Rotary.
Rick, I have two questions regarding that project too. I know in our agreement with the city, there's a subject line in there that you have the opportunity to join a city council meeting to talk about it, or when there's a discussion about it.
Yes.
So number one, I want to make sure you get on the radar for that. And then secondly, has there been a vendor or a contractor announced or appointed yet for the project that might be able to help us with our golf tournament, which is a fundraiser for the park?
That, we haven't selected a contractor yet. We're working on the final design and specs, and we expect to go out for bid sometime in the first quarter, beginning of second quarter of 2025, and then that's when we'll bring that contractor on, and then of course we'll make those connections.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, and then thanks for the reminder about setting up a conversation at a council meeting about the projects. I'll make sure I get that on the agenda. But again, this is a good example of how we come together for the benefit of all. And well, going back to the 5th, looks like they're having fun.
Yeah.
There you go, clearly, not accurate.
Another big project, if you haven't noticed, if you go by College Street or City Hall, we have an active construction site. That's going to be our new police station. This is a $61.5 million project that's funded out of about $43 million in reserves. And then we're going to be issuing early February bonds, revenue bonds, to use real estate excise tax revenue for our funding source to fund the remaining $18 million. So we're able to go forward with this without going out and, for a capital levy to the voters. We're able to do this with just existing revenue and reserves. And this project just broke ground this last year and due to complete in 2025. This new police station is going to entail a couple of things. One is it's a community space, community room. It's going to also incorporate our emergency coordination center, so we have a place to gather and coordinate in the event of a natural disaster or emergency response. We're also going to be able to have enough space for our officers to be able to work and do their jobs. In the kind of context of that, their current facility was built in 1985. It's about 15,000 square feet, and it was designed to serve up around 35 employees. We expanded that space another 3,000 square feet to 18 in 2005. And we currently have about 95 employees working out of that space. And so it's just one of the common things that we finally were able to pull the plans together, pull the money together, and build this new expansion. And that would also help with office space overall in City Hall. And then some of the things we have on the horizon is, again, facility planning. That's one of the things that we're going to work on getting better at in planning what our current needs, our future needs, and how do we start a financial plan to do that so we're not being reactive. And so this is a list of our capital facilities plan. As you see at the top, the police station, the 62 million mark. But we're also going to have to upgrade our public works operation facilities. That facility was remodeled in the early 2000s. It is now getting overgrown with staff needs, and there's also facility upgrades necessary. We also need to look at City Hall remodel. Now the police department is relocating. Animal services, that's a facility that is in desperate need of rebuild, so we got to work. Animal services, if you're not aware, is a partnership with all the jurisdictions, Olympia, Tumwater, and Thurston County. So we're actively working with them to figure out how we can develop a financial plan to be able to relocate and improve the animal services facility. And of course, we have some other parks, culture, and recreational. We're going to have to eventually expand the Virgil Clarkston Senior Center. If you haven't been out there lately, I mean, that's a very well-used facility. It's very much needed, and it's busted at the seams. So at some point, we're going to need to expand that facility to accommodate the seniors in our community. And then, of course, we have some of the parks programs of Keel Park Phase 1, and we're looking to go out to bid at the end of this year. And then also RAC Phase 3, which we're working on design and maybe going out for bonds in 2026 for expansion of the RAC Regional Athletic Complex.
Does your contract with the city include a future park in your name?
No, I couldn't get that in there. I even had coffee with Greg. I couldn't figure out how he did it, so, no. So yeah, and then of course with our Parks Capital Improvement Facility, there's, it's about, in over a 10-year period, we've identified about 24 projects worth about $75 million that came out of community engagement efforts in the past 5 years of what needs or wants in the community. And so that sets up, one of the things that we're looking at is, in order to fund all this stuff, we're going to need to look at how we identify and expand our revenue sources. And it's always a very sensitive topic because we want to make sure we're not impacting our community in terms of higher taxes, but yet we want to provide those services they want. So the council just recently formed the Parks Improvement Funding Work Group. And this is a group of citizens that 13 citizens are going to be working over the next 3 months, meeting every other week to take a deep dive into our Parks Capital Facility Plan, what are the issues, what are the costs for building those items identified in that plan, as well as what is the maintenance. That's one of the things that local governments do very well is we get excited about trying to figure out how to fund the project, but we forget about the ongoing maintenance after that. So after about in November, early December, we're hoping that the work group will come out and make some recommendations on prioritizing those 24 items so we're not trying to build all of them in the next 10 years, and then identifying potential revenue sources that the council could consider enacting in order to fund those. And those can range from going out to the voters for approval of a capital bond, establishing a metropolitan parks district, to adjusting current revenues within the city's budget, hold everything from doing no revenue enhancements to the full rate of the voter ask. So we'll see what that work group comes up with in November, and there'll be a lot of conversations with the council going into January about which the next steps they want to take. So in terms of economic development, we had a lot of initiatives and efforts, and this is a priority of the city council, is in terms of how do we foster the business community, because especially small businesses, that's the foundation of our economy. So how do we make sure that we can grow that and make it stronger and more connected? So there's several initiatives we have going on. One of them is, as mentioned earlier, the Lacey Makerspace, and I want to identify Graham Sackerson, who's been an instigator of that. I think if it wasn't for Graham's work at the early stages to get people together, to get people talking, it may have never gotten off the ground to what it is today. So if you haven't been to the Makerspace, it just recently expanded to take overall what's used to be known as Zavro Hall on St. Martin's campus. It's just under 10,000 square feet. State-of-the-art space, has classrooms, has everything from woodworking equipment, metalworking equipment, CNC machinery, classes and programs to help people learn new skills, be able to develop, expand their hobby, help workforce training. We have several apprenticeship programs that are now operating out of that space. And just recently, we received the Governor's Smart Communities Award for partnerships, smart partnerships. And so we're really excited about this makerspace, and we think it's going to be a hub to the region. One of the things that when we started, we knew how the value to the Thurston County, but we didn't know how expansive that was. We did a map of all the memberships at that space, and our membership locations range from up in Bellevue, King County, Portland, Grace Harbor. So we're starting to see this thing being more of a regional hub, and more so than what we originally expected. So we're really excited about that and seeing how that partnership can grow. Another effort that we do, the City Council funds scholarships to Lacey businesses to participate in the BIPOC business training or scale-up programs offered at the Thurston Economic Development Council. And this is in 2022 and 2023, we run about 4 cohorts, and 38 businesses have gone through those programs to learn everything from tuning up their accounting, business marketing, and human resources programs. And again, to help business owners to get continued education so that they can have better skills to run their business and be a little more stable in always a rocky business environment. If you haven't been out there, we've also been running with the Food Truck Plaza out off of between Lacey Boulevard and Pacific. We've also been running the Friday Night Market Series, and we've seen some great success out of that. To date, this year, we've had about 103 businesses operate out of those Friday night markets, and I think a combined total of about 18,000 visitors to those events, and we recorded about $85,000 in total sales from all those vendors. So we're seeing that starting to take hold. So now we're going to be starting to say, how do we set up a permanent location, start the planning now, 5 years out to figure out how that goes and becomes more of a civic center and space within the city of Lacey, and drawing people together and provide more things for people to do in our community. As part of the Food Truck Plaza, we also received an award from the Washington Economic Development Association, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Award, to highlight that Food Truck Plaza. We were able to establish 6 food trucks there that actually represented the Hispanic, Jamaican, Black, and Filipino communities. And also, I think 4 of the 6 are women-owned businesses and first-time business owners. So what we're doing with that food truck houses, trying to create opportunities for people to develop business and grow those businesses. And one of our early food truck operators last year was able to move into a brick and mortar store and create a out down in the Crossroads. And so we're seeing some of that success in Dakota. It's nice to be recognized by the State Association with Economic Development. So now with the private investment update, a couple of cool projects to highlight. But I guess first we'll talk about a little bit of our building stats. This is kind of representing that growth we've seen over the last 10 years. The blue parts of the bar chart are multifamily units, and the green is single-family detached units. And what we've seen is we've been heavily dominated by single-family development over the first 10 years of this past 20. The last 10 years, we've seen that switch over to multifamily. Part of that is the available land for single-family development has been built out, and we're starting to see more of that infill project. So over the last, I think we've built around 2,700 multifamily units over the past several years. And we've got about another 1,500 in the pipeline. But you can see that transition, and we're starting to see building activities drop down, and a lot of that has to do with available land. And so now we're going to be focused on more infill growth, and you probably won't see as rapid a population growth as we've seen over the last 10 years, but we'll probably see that through any annexation you propose. And this is a chart showing kind of our commercial building permit activity. Again, we're starting to see a little bit of a decline. We had a peak in 2023 with a couple of industrial buildings and multifamily projects being issued permits. And we're going to continue to monitor that because that also has it's an indicator for us of real estate activity, and also that means what we're going to see in terms of future revenue, and that's a predictor that we have. So we're starting to see it starting to flatten out as well, but we're going to continue to monitor that. But some of the projects we have in the works, and if everybody knows the Williamsburg Loop area and the Midtown focus, this is an area going from South Sound Center all the way to the college is an area that the city's been focused on for 20 years. I think some in the room might remember the Downtown 2000 plan that set a vision of trying to create a mixed-use urban neighborhood. Back in 2010 or 2012, we formed a little task force to kind of test that vision. I believe Jerry was on that task force to kind of say, is the vision still sound? If so, how do we get there? And one of the fine things is that we're trying to get this mixed-use, high-density type of thing. I never quite heard it described this way, but somebody on that task force, I won't name names, Jerry, referred to it as a supreme nacho plate. You've got everything kind of packed together and goodness and all. So now we're going to see how the supreme nacho starting to develop. So I'll never forget that, Jerry. So here's how we're building the nacho platter. On the picture on the left,
Pointer doesn't work. Doesn't show up.
okay, so the picture on the left is the 629 project. It's south of Williamsburg Loop from Hunter Park. MGR Development had bought that former vacant office space and they're repurposing it to 50 apartments. One of the things that we saw to create that density was we need to have more residential and to create a longer business day for businesses. So they're going to, it's active, you go out there right now, you'll see they're actively modeling that. This is the same company that recently did the 6th Avenue Place, which is where the Heinz Doghouse and Tap Room is. They're now building this facility over here across from the park. Another project, this is the building right adjacent to the park. If you've been around, you probably, that lower area used to be a coffee shop, Crazy Espresso, long ago. They are remodeling that office building to create Class A office space. And that lower area where they're going to bring in a casual Italian restaurant, pizza kitchen, and have it right off the park. So that's going to be something that's going to add more amenities as well. And then right behind that building in the parking lot, we're going to maximize that space and build 2 additional buildings totaling 350 units of apartments with ground floor retail facing 7th. And so that's going to really change that landscape and bring in that mixed use and density. And we're really excited for these projects to move forward. And I see Mike rolling up. So
5 more minutes.
5 minutes. And then, of course, we've got the Queenmouth Village, which is in and around Cabela's. This is the property in the Nisqually Tribe Zone. We're actively working with them. They have 2 applications in with the Bureau of Indian Affairs to transfer the 250 acres into trust land. And we are working with them on that process with agreements of what that looks like for us. Working on agreements for cost of the city to provide services such as law enforcement, sewer, water, fire district. We're working with the fire district also with those negotiations. So those are going to be continuing on over the next year, and projecting about the BIA being complete with their application and environmental review process in about 18 months, and then we'll see some movement of development around there. But this is an image of what they're proposing. In the center is the what they call Plymouth Resort, which would be the casino conference center, and then the village around it being the mixed-use town center type development. This is what's currently envisioned for the project. Climate Action Initiative, if you haven't heard of this, we've been matching PSA rebates for energy efficiency improvements in homeowners in the city of Lacey. In less than a year, we were able to provide $280,000 in rebates for households to be able to upgrade their dryer, washer, furnace, water heater, insulation, and heat pump. So this is another piece of working and trying to help support our community. And then of course we're 9 years into our program on replacing our street lights with LED. I think we started that last few years on council. And one of the things is a lot of jurisdictions went in and replaced them all right away. And we decided to roll out and replace these LED lights as the original lights failed, so that when the LED lights fail, we wouldn't have to replace them all at one time in the future. So we're just building it into our street maintenance program, and we're in our 9th year. We're about 80% complete, and already we're seeing about $300,000 of reduction of PSC energy costs for our street lights. So it's really paying off as an energy efficiency as well as a financial savings. And then finally, because of our community connections, this year we established what we call the Human Services Advisory Board, and they're tasked to review applications from nonprofit service providers that provide services to the Lacey community, to allocate about $300,000 a year in social services funding, things such as food banks, housing programs, those type of things in the community. So we're creating a more formal structure for how we're able to get dollars out into the community. Coming up October 5th at Hunter Park is the Lacey Children's Days, and one of our fall Here in Our Parks programs. We have family and kids. This is an opportunity to have all sorts of events all free. And then also we've been 5 years into our Lacey Youth Council. The council really wanted to try to engage the youth in our community, so they established a youth council as the advisory board to the council. It represents all the public high schools, private high schools, and homeschool kids are eligible to be on the council. We've run about 7 or 8 kids that have participated over the past 3 years, and they set it up like a city council where they elect their own mayor, deputy mayor, and then they learn about city government and how to engage, and then how to also do public presentations. So it's something really to kind of engage the youth of our community, and it's become so popular now that this year we've maxed out with 15 participants on the council. And the last thing is just want to put a plug in. We're in the midst of our community economic development, a conference and planning process. So we're going to be doing a lot of outreach to start planning for the next 10 and 20 years. So as you see opportunity to participate, we want to invite you in there, because again, we can't really plan for our future unless we hear from everybody that's in the community what your vision is, so we can start matching those things up. So look out for opportunities to engage our community economic development department and start weighing in on the city of Lacey's future. Thank you.
Question?
Sure.
Two quick questions. Yeah.
Down Martin, fairways down there, is a tower crane that has set up residence there, and it seems to be real happy right where it is. Could you please give us a little bit of an idea of what's going to become of that, what became of the project, or anything?
So that's the Martin, well, I think it changes, but I first knew it as a Martin Way East residential project. It's a mixed-use development. The developer moved forward with building, and with the way interest rates hit the project, he's been looking for additional investors. The crane operator established a crane there. He's not moving the crane until there's something worked out with the property owner, and so the crane is waiting. I guess he's waiting for the additional investment. So instead of demobilizing the crane, they're giving it the developer time to figure out the investments. We gave them till October to be able to move forward with the project, where they need to remove the crane and button up the site. And so we just sent official correspondence about a month ago to the crane operator, the owner, and the consultants on that project. One of the things you'll see that boom swing.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, because of wind loads, it's set to swing so that it doesn't create a structural integrity issue. And so that's why you'll see it swing out and be sometimes hanging out over Martin Way. So it's become the Martin Way weather vane, if you will.
Wow. Can we use that to generate power?
So, maybe you could come back some other time and talk about transportation projects, because that's a whole other thing. For years, there was talk about it, I-5 exchange at Carpenter. Is that just never going to happen?
Well, when we worked on the interchange justification report for exit 111, the Marvin Road, we were pushing for Carpenter Road, but the Federal Highways Administration and the Department of Transportation at the state level said, no, we need to improve exit 111, Slater Kinney, and Martin Way first. So there's probably another $120 million worth of improvements before we can even start looking at a design or a fix for Carpenter Road.
Any quick one?
Yeah, I read a lot about the housing crisis nationally, and a huge problem is not in my neighborhood, thinking of people living in single-family dwellings, resisting the idea of multifamily dwellings going up anywhere near them. It doesn't look like that's been a big problem for Lacey.
It depends on the site context.
Sure.
In those projects I just highlighted, those are all surrounded by office parks, and so you don't have the other residential there. What you'll see is when people move into those places and we start rebuilding some of those other buildings, we'll start getting those comments, and because everybody's up, they buy into their place, and then when change happens, they're always concerned what that change is going to look like. We do see those reactions when the reserve was built down at the corner of Carpenter and Pacific.
Correct.
It's a low-income senior apartment, everything that the city envisioned. We had some pushback from some of the neighbors because it was a change in their view corridors and those type of things. So it does happen, and it can create delays in project process. Hicks Lake multifamily, which is on this west edge of Hicks Lake Drive, they're one of the projects now breaking ground. There was a lot of consternation over that because you have these wooded parcels right next to the lake and serenity in a sense, and all of a sudden there's going to be these multifamily projects. It's a different type of housing structure, so there was a lot of concern there. But I do believe in that particular case, those projects are actually going to be more sensitive to the environment than what's already out there because everything was built out to a whole different standard years ago. And so there's going to be a little bit more protection for the shoreline and the natural environment, even though, and they're all going to be on sewer as well, so that's the other piece of it.
Thank you so much. Yes, we will have you back. I'm going to get that. So, playing the role today of Sergeant at Arms is Mr. Eric Rowe. You thought I was looking at you. You thought I was looking at you, but I was right behind you.
Wow. Once again, thanks for the presentation on City of Lacey. When I had a chance to locate my office, I specifically chose to be in the City of Lacey on College Street, so I've been able to view all that great stuff that goes up and down and all that good stuff, and have a special affinity with the City of Lacey, as my dad was an architect in town for years and years and years. So great to hear the updates and all that good stuff. So the interesting, we're not going to go to the debates. It's a rough day, 9/11, all that good stuff. So as always, I always look for those things that really useless information. We just had the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
In Paris. So here are some of the most unusual events, sports in Olympics. So what was this? In 1908, pistol dueling was an Olympic event, and they would actually manufacture wax bullets and dress people. So imagine the armor in 1908.
Yeah.
Pistol dueling. So
Easy to pick the winner.
Easy to pick the winner.
Sorts itself out pretty well.
I think. Are you okay? Okay. It would be that guy. It would be that guy from Romania who showed up in his T-shirt that just started shooting because he just wanted his dog back. I don't know if you heard that story.
Thank you. Wax.
The obstacle swim course. This was in 1900, and believe it or not, started in Paris. Wow. I love the French for all their creative stuff.
Well, if you've ever tried swimming in the sand, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got the poo.
It's the same. Nothing is visible. One of the another plunge for distance. Plunge for distance. Back in 1904, they would drop into the pool and they would remain motionless until their head broke the water. The person that stayed underwater the longest won. Another one.
What happened to second place?
Second place. Exactly. Well, they got to go into pistol dueling.
And then become an obstacle.
And then a tug of war. And it was from 1900 to 1920.
Wow.
So just like the Jamaican bobsled team, the Jamaican tug of war team, they didn't make it in on the bracket. Not a lot of mass there. The Norwegians probably did pretty well. They had deer shooting. That was from 1908 to 1948. Not live deer. However, live pigeon shooting. Once again, the French in Paris did this, and this was in and over 300 pigeons were actually. And then the one that I thought that was really interesting was poodle clipping. The last and also the most unusual sport, poodle clipping, in the 1900 Olympics. Never had full status as an Olympic sport.
Can you imagine the color commentary? Yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen that move since the 1908 move in Helsinki,
Finland. Left ear.
Let me see. Oh, it's the crowd. They had to put it in a bigger venue because there were 6,000 people that wanted to watch, and it was the clippings of the poodles, and it was the number of poodles you could clip. in a certain amount of time, in 2 hours, and this one guy, what was his name, from France, clipped 17 poodles in 2 hours.
Wow. Yeah. How many poodles did they lose that?
I don't know, well, he castrated a couple of them.
They must have like one of the German.
Yeah. So, there you go, useless information to lighten your day, obscure Olympic sports. And with that, we'll go to happy moments.